Newsfirst Newsline with Faraz Shaukat Ali.
Well, hello, good evening, and a very warm welcome to Newsline live, but it's not live, it's a recording. And today, Newsline is at a location that is perhaps one of Sri Lanka's most iconic locations in Colombo, with the wonderful Great Hope behind us, the Colombo port city. But apart from all that, of course, we've got here two guests today who, shall we say, are icons in their own right in the field of radio broadcasting, and they're right here with us. It's a great pleasure to finally, 6 years later, to welcome them onto this program. And they are, of course, none other than, in no particular order, Mr. Dominic Keller and Asanka Sahabandu. Very good evening to you, Dom and Asanka.
Thank you,
Good evening, Faraz.
Thank you. We should start by thanking Faraz for this wonderful location.
Yeah.
Thank you for having us here
It's warm, isn't it?
at this moment in time.
The warmest welcome we've had in a while.
I thought that it might be good because, you see, in case we have a power cut in the evening, our viewers too.
Oh, absolutely.
But of course, we are in the backdrop of this Great Hope.
I was wondering,
The port
did
city.
you pick this location particularly because of everything that's going on
No, I
behind
thought
us?
that after your recent sojourn in Potsdam,
Great.
that you may want a bit of colour
That country is known for other things, by the way.
as well.
Yes. Architecture,
Yes.
history,
Flowers.
flowers,
Yeah.
and all
Nightlife.
of that. Yeah.
But on a very serious note, I'd like to ask, where are all the flowers gone? Sri Lanka is facing perhaps its most crucial period ever since its independence, and maybe before that too. Who knows? But Sri Lanka really is going through a very challenging period, and it's no good saying that the rest of the world is having that too. I see that the economies in some other parts of the world are actually increasing. The growth is going, whereas in Sri Lanka it's coming down. So in that context, Dom and Asanka,
Yep.
what are the prospects for sustaining radio in this current situation?
Faraz, to tell you in brief, before we talk about radio's history in Sri Lanka, if you look at the world over, 70% of the world population listen to radio still.
Yeah.
Despite the fact there's streaming platforms, there's digital, there's the press, there's TV and so on and so forth. There are about 44,000 radio stations across the world,
Yep.
and people still tune in, and this is by far the easiest and the most economical way in 2021 to get your information.
Absolutely.
Not just that, in a disaster situation, the number one way for us as a media organization to communicate what's news and what should be done is also through radio, and we saw this. It was evident during the pandemic as well. People still depended on radio. Yes, they may have not driven to work, they may have not gone about in their vehicles, but still kitchen radios were on, pocket radios were on. And with the invention of digital platforms and social media, streaming platforms are broadcasting our very own channels. So there is a future for radio, there is a need for radio, and this is why it has survived.
It's very strange that radio continues to endure, even though there are other ways especially for the youth of the world now, there's no real reason to listen to radio unless perhaps you're in a car. But we still seem to get our message across, and I think there's something rather nostalgic about radio that people are drawn to.
Sri Lanka is also going through a particular phase which we had pre-2015, of course, and we seem to have had an absence of it between 2015 and 2019. However, the questions still remain, and one of these that I want to ask you is, Sri Lanka is going through particularly challenging period in terms of the media, in terms of the tolerance of the government of the day towards media. We have all sorts of jolly things. They have very irregular announcements on the lines that, we must look at how to sue these chaps. That sort of thing. Those are very challenging.
Is that only us?
So these are challenging periods. And there's no real gain in saying that the period between 2015 and 2019, although they too had their little stunts, they were certainly far more tolerant than what appears to be now.
Yeah.
How does this affect you, the two of you, on the morning fix?
I'll be very honest with you, it hasn't really affected us at all. In terms of radio spending and in terms of the amount of money that people invest in radio or in advertising on radio, reduced drastically since 2020, since last year. It is picking up now, of course, because it is a season. But that will tend to be a problem. I mean, we all took salary cuts. All of us took salary cuts. We continue to work, although Asa and I, we went to work every day. We never stopped. We had our media passes and we continued to come to work, even though there was almost no one listening in at that time because we are predominantly a morning drive show. But we got through it, and December is looking good.
Just to add to that for us, apart from that, where your question was, I suppose you were asking about the freedom that we have to express ourselves on air.
Indeed.
Time and time after, things may change. People may come, they might have different opinions. But what we have understood as radio broadcasters or personalities is the fact that we have to remain credible to our listeners. Our listenership depends on the fact that we are very genuine. So whatever good that happens in the country, whatever bad that happens in the country, we must present it to them. We are not explaining it to them. That's I suppose what news is supposed to be doing. Our job is to present them with good news and bad news. Let them figure it out. And when you have opinions creeping in, that might be a certain, maybe a grey area. But having said that, there are times that both Dom and I, we speak of our opinions about certain topics. As for media freedom, I suppose it's a very contested idea. I mean, in our heads as journalists and media presenters, we'd want to see media freedom. But do we really have that?
That is the big question, of course. Having said that, I suppose the flip side is that we haven't had as many black vans or white vans or whatever those vans are. I don't know whether that's to do with the lack of dollars to import all these things into this country. That's
Now the
the
petrol restrictions and fuel problems.
That's right. Yes. But there's one thing, of course, that we've got, as we know now, we've got a lot of sun. And so I'm sure that we would all welcome a real and focused move towards harnessing our natural resources.
Absolutely.
In terms of battery driven.
We've been advocates of this for the longest time. We're hoping that we'll see a change. I myself bought myself an electric car, hoping that there'll be. No. It's from actually where you're from the UK.
Oh, I see.
With heated seats and all that. That's not the point. The point is that I was hoping.
Air conditioning.
I was hoping that there'll be more charging centers, which is something we were promised.
Yes.
But it never.
Well, no, that's the other
materialized.
thing. In the budget, I think we'll leave this budget alone, because this budget wasn't really a budget, was it? Right? So normally, generally speaking, I think about 80%, this is my feeling, 80% of the promises or undertakings and assurances made in a budget are never looked into. I think we all, do you agree that we need to have a sort of an audit-driven budget, where they say, look, last year we said X, Y, Z, and we achieved A, B, C. Do you think that would be an idea?
For us, when they present the new budget, and forgive me for my ignorance here, but don't they look at what happened last year? Sort of like when a meeting happens or an AGM, and you read the minutes of the previous year. Doesn't that happen here anymore?
This wonderful little theory appears to have bypassed the people not far from here at the Secretariat, the Treasury Secretariat. They do say all sorts of things, that it takes forever and a day to collate the information. If they had to wait for all that, then they would be the budget would be presented 5 years later. Which might make sense to have a budget for 5 years, perhaps.
Perhaps.
Now, talking about money and so on, and obviously the morning fix, Dom and Asanka, it's like a national treasure.
Is it?
It's an icon.
Okay.
Everyone knows this blessed thing.
Okay.
Excepting me and I think the late Bandulu Jayasekara said to me, "Do you know that we are going to do this thing called Talk of the Town?"
Yeah.
I said, "Really? What is it?"
Yeah.
And he said, "It's going to be on Yes FM, or, on the morning fix."
Yeah.
I said, oh. He said, "You don't sound excited." I said, "Should I?" He said, "They're great guys for us."
Yeah.
And he's up there now. He left us.
Oh, he was a
sadly.
wonderful chap, wasn't he?
Sadly, he's left there. But I
Absolutely.
think they're having a party of their own out there.
I'm sure.
There's RR and
Yeah,
there's Bandulu Jayasekara.
And Mangala.
Mangala,
Yeah.
Sydney
Yeah,
is
yeah.
out there.
Yeah.
And, I hope they're having a jolly good time there. I think, though, God might be a little bit pressed, because I think there's a bit of jockeying for power there. But, that aside, now, I'm told that because of your outstanding success and so on, that the two of you are the highest paid media personalities in Sri Lanka.
But
I mean,
this brings us to another point.
There's a bit of confusion there.
No, there's no
No, there's
confusion at all. There's no confusion at all.
we've rehearsed this speech.
This brings,
No, I'm kidding.
this brings us to a great point, though, on fake news and how fake news can drive people to different opinions, which is
So you don't get paid?
wrong. No, we don't. We all took
we
salary
are-
cuts.
But they gave it back, didn't they?
No, we're
restored
hoping so. We're
it. They
hoping.
restored the salaries.
Oh yeah, after
Oh, yeah,
a while,
it has
after
happened, I
A
mean.
couple of months, yeah. But
But
no,
in couple
we're
of
far
months.
we're far from the highest paid radio presenters for us.
So is that a flat denial?
Yes, an absolute denial.
That's fake news.
That is absolute fake news.
Fake
Yeah,
news.
yeah,
Fake
yeah,
news.
Yeah, yeah.
See,
Asanka,
the pay really doesn't matter when we are doing a job that we really love.
Yeah.
You can't necessarily put a price on it.
I wouldn't say too much on that score
Good one.
because Treasury, our Treasury at the group, they might be getting on the phone saying, "Well, you don't want that."
No, having said that, I mean, you have to pay people for what they're worth.
I think
for their
I
talent.
think also our pay reflects the work we do.
Pretty much.
I think we have been a
You're
strong.
definitely getting a bonus. You know that.
That's,
right?
we
that's
hope
the rumor.
so.
Well, you just said all the right things.
That's a rumor that's going around. But no, I know what you're talking about. But no, we're very happy to be here. I mean, we do represent the #1 network.
Yeah.
So I don't really. I left my trumpet at home, so I can't say we are the #1 show.
But I want to ask you this very quickly,
Yeah.
because I don't want to dwell in the past.
Yeah.
But, the past shapes the future usually. And how are you coping after the iconic media mogul, our late chairman,
Yeah.
Mr. Rajamahendran, after his passing? How are you two coping?
Yeah, it was very sad.
Well, when the news was broken and people started sharing their testimonials about the gentleman on social media and certain things that have happened in the past, it is only then people who have had very less communications or meetings with him get to know the real person who he was and
Yeah,
the
for
kind of
us.
impact he had on
Yeah.
not just on media, on sports, on cricket.
Isn't it
on,
wonderful to know there were so many things and so many lives that he touched that he never spoke about. He never made a big deal out of it,
No, not at all.
which is what really makes him a fabulous person. And he will be truly missed.
Right. Now then, I must ask you this. Sri Lanka's experience is very challenging circumstance. How is it that the two of you, when people leave home, they get into their car, the radio just probably comes on to the morning
Yeah.
fix, they've got 1,000 things in their minds. Will the gas canister explode? Will there be a power cut?
Yeah.
What about that lovely joint
Yeah.
of whatever I bought?
Yeah.
And this has got nothing to do with Potsdam, but
Yeah.
the lovely joint of whatever in the fridge, will
Yeah.
it be spoilt when I come
Yeah.
back?
Yeah.
Will all the vegetables that are over 300 rupees a kilo,
Yeah.
would they have all withered because there's no power
Yeah.
and the blessed fridge doesn't work?
Yeah. Yeah.
How do you get, what is it that you do on your program that you get people's mind off those myriad problems?
Shall I take
Yes,
this?
you may, yeah.
So this question has been asked from us several times, and
Oh, here's me thinking it's original.
And truly, no, well, it is for you, but it truly isn't anything special or out of the ordinary for us. It's just that radio, and Asa and I follow this mantra that radio has to be about storytelling. So we try and tell it as it is. Thanks to the network that we work for, we're given the freedom to speak of whatever we'd like to until the phone rings and then we're told not to. But until then, we try and remain as authentic as possible.
Have you tried unplugging the phone?
Yeah, they come back and plug it back in. Yeah.
Ramsey does that.
We just try and read the news as it is.
Yeah.
We try and remain
as natural and authentic
and as
we
optimistic as possible.
See,
and how often do you take on what the people, the public, the Republic says to you through their messaging and so on?
Every time.
Every day. I mean, they have a problem, they want to talk about a power cut that happened, they want to talk about a jogging path or track that is kind of destroying the habitat of nature.
We got a message today when we said we're going to be on the show with you, and someone said, hey, maybe Faraz will ask some real questions like he asked from 2015 to 2019. And I said, yeah, we'll see if that happens.
We'll see if that happens.
See,
we've got another 15 minutes.
So it's kind of like that. I mean, we have to understand the fact that people tune in because we are real. We have no put on accents. Right? We don't lie about the times that we get late to the show on occasion. We do take
of course.
This is normal. This is what happens in human nature in day-to-day life. Can you keep an appointment in the year of 2021 with the pandemic, with the checks, with the traffic, with the gas canisters exploding, with the petrol shortages?
Well, I think we better make that appointment, because otherwise Harshana and Shehan, our wonderful producers, Nadika and everybody else here, will have an absolute fit if we don't go in for a break. So here we go. This is a break. We're going to look at the headlines for this evening's primetime news, and we'll see you on the other side of the break.
News First, Newsline with Faraz Shaukat Ali.
And welcome back to Newsline Live, accepting it's a recording, and we are on location at one of Colombo's most iconic buildings, with an even greater iconic to be behind us, which is of course the Colombo Port City. I'm in conversation with the one, the only, the duo, the inimitable Dom and Asanka from the Morning Fix. Now then, welcome back, gentlemen. Talking about tough questions. This government has demonstrated little tolerance, and they seem to have got almost everything wrong. The economy is in doldrums and so on and so forth. They don't take too kindly to the media pointing this, that and the other out. Now, you know, News First, we report and you decide. I was going to say we decide, as in we decide, you know, but forget that one. Now then, does this intolerance affect radio?
I'm going to have to say no. Not at least until now. I suppose it's a little dicey because of the network that we work for and our relationship with those in power. But we haven't had anything that pushed us out of the ordinary. Nothing that we were restricted from doing or saying.
Well, as citizens of this country, citizens Sri Lanka, how do you feel when you listen to the radio or listen to the news and so on, and all these details of various corrupt deals are revealed? How do you feel personally?
Well, personally, I mean, as radio show hosts and radio personalities and tax-paying citizens of this great nation, we feel slightly embarrassed that, you know, this is out there for the whole world to hear what's going on. This is, I'm not just talking about the current situation, but if you are looking at situations with the previous regimes or even regimes prior to this, there have been malpractices or there have been corrupt deals. It is our job as radio personalities and as broadcasters or news organizations to bring these to light and present it in a way the people can make an informed decision when it's time for the polls. But sadly, I think in Sri Lanka, we too kind of forget what happened last year by the time we get closer to.
This is what we keep saying. We
to
keep
an
saying this on
election.
radio all the time. We
Yes,
say, when we read a story and we say, remember all of this
Yeah.
next time you go to vote.
Yes.
That's all you can really say.
It also doesn't help that Sri Lanka has some sort of viral news story every week. So, you know, what happened last week is easily forgotten. Be
But
it,
there's also, you have to mix that up with the almost myopic nature of the Republic of Sri Lanka, because you know, yesterday's thugs and murderers and rapists are today's members of parliament.
Yeah, yeah.
And then they do things like throw chili powder at each other,
Very true.
and furniture which has been painstakingly crafted in probably in Muratua.
It is. It is very disappointing.
It is,
It
isn't
is. But what can you really do?
We can try to remember and be less myopic
Yeah.
when it
Yeah.
comes to casting our vote.
Oh, absolutely.
Absolutely. I think we need to make a conscious decision that, you know, now, at least now, you know, you appoint people who would actually work for the people.
Yeah.
And there's really no point in blaming whoever is in power and whoever the
If you vote
lawmakers
them
are.
in.
If you voted them in, you've already made that decision.
Now let's talk radio, shall we?
Yep.
Asanka, I think you told me earlier that the first radio station in Sri Lanka was set up in what, 1925?
1920.
Sri Lanka, but in Asia.
It was
In Asia.
the first
South Asia.
South Asian radio station was set up in 1925.
Right.
And that was formerly known as Radio Ceylon.
Yeah.
And at that time, we had sheer radio dominance in the region.
Yeah.
And a lot of people were listening to it, not just here, but the airwaves would reach
Yeah.
other countries. You'd get letters from other countries. That's why many of the artists and the singers were so popular back then,
Yeah.
without social media, without
Yeah.
some of the other conventional methods
Yeah. And we also had some of the best equipment in the region at
in
the
the
time.
region.
Right.
And, you know, close to a million listeners by the time it was
Yeah.
transformed into SLBC.
But that never really
It never
aged well.
continued. I mean,
Yeah.
literally we should be eons ahead of what others would do.
Yeah.
And do you welcome open, free economy in the sense that do you welcome the number of radio stations that we have in Sri Lanka now, or would you like more?
Competition is always good, I think.
Yeah, I think there are 45 plus radio stations across.
Really?
Yeah,
Are there?
the 87 to 107
And
bandwidth.
you guys
FM.
are the best paid
So,
amongst those
no,
45.
Faraz, you got to stop saying that. 'cause
No,
people
okay.
are not gonna-
All right.
Just because
No.
you say something
doesn't
often,
make
it
it
doesn't
true.
mean it's
You
true.
know this from Donald Trump. Just because you say it doesn't make it true.
Right.
But the issue with English radio is, and I don't think a lot of people know this, but there are about 11 or 12 English radio stations that cater predominantly to Colombo, Kandy, and Gaul, and that's as far as it goes. So you are looking at chipping away at smaller pieces of a really small pie, which is difficult to do, and that is why competition is the way it is. Radio has also reached, in terms of ideas for us, we've reached saturation. Everything that you can do has been already thought of.
Right.
And also, it has been very limited with the current situation
Yeah.
in the pandemic. I mean, you know.
So we rack our brains every Christmas. We come up with new ideas, with new competitions, with new promotional ideas, trying our best not to imitate or copy something that's already been done before.
I think your program must be listened to in Yalpanam. You know,
Yes,
the
it is.
people of Yalpanam. English pesrade. Nallam pesrade.
Ah, really?
Oh.
Okay, that's good.
We have listeners from across the country. We have overseas listeners. We have international listeners who listen to Sri Lankan radio, specifically our show, so that they can get their hit of that feeling of being closer to home,
the local culture.
and also the local knowledge of what's going on. So, as I said before, it is our duty to inform all, one and all, equally.
But this is also the importance of digitalization of radio now. Radio is not just listened to in your car, like we said, but it's listened to all around the world. People wake up listening to us, and people go to sleep listening to us. Our family listens to us just before they go to bed because they're across the world. So you've got to cater to everyone, and we try and keep it as local as possible because we know that mostly Sri Lankans are listening in. But you have to run or climb upon that digital train, and that is it.
And I must ask you this. You know, when you get late, what happens? Who is it? Just silence?
If the both of us don't turn up, there will be chaos. It will be Armageddon of a cataclysmic proportion.
Bravo,
No,
well
you missed
said, well
apocalyptic.
said. And where are these books? Goodness me, my books is missing. Right, anyway,
Armageddon.
Shahan's forgotten the books. Yes.
Yeah, but one of us have to turn up. This is another thing that a lot of people don't know about radio, and I think it's important that radio is live. You have to turn up. You can't call in sick. You can't have a problem along the way. You have to prepare for the inevitable and make sure that you are there.
Absolutely.
It's not a recorded show. It is live.
And let's also talk about the fact that, maybe 10 years ago, many schools started their radio and media units, and they've been training
Yeah.
kids to take up this job. Back when we wanted to be radio personalities, this was not considered an industry.
It wasn't considered a decent
A
profession.
decent job.
Yeah.
I mean, we've had folks in our families and our
DJ?
relations.
What?
They would say, no, put on a tie and a long sleeve shirt and get to work, apply for a job that is put out as a vacancy.
Did you wear a tie when you were interviewed for the morning fix?
Oh, here at Yes 101?
Yeah?
No.
The first day you came
I think the
in.
only time we worn a tie in a official capacity is when we hosted the EOTY,
EOTY.
the Employee of the Year.
Oh, I see.
Yeah, we've worked too hard now for us to wear ties anymore.
Okay.
He's looking at his tie.
It is a choice, of course.
It is a choice.
But it looks so good on you, but it doesn't look
No, I mean, it has to be practical. Radio personalities.
Will it get entangled in the mic?
yeah,
Yeah, I
and
suppose.
it stifles your creativity.
Now then, this shows it's been a bit light because we thought we'd take a break from the constant bad news. Do you actively on your program try to put out some good news, some happy news?
Yeah, in fact, we came up with this this year, and we have a completely new segment that caters to only good news during the first hour.
Yeah.
Of course, having said that, if there's a crisis in
Yeah.
Sri Lanka and that really needs to be spoken of, it's either us or Newsfirst that breaks that news on the 25th minute. But we are trying our level best to give people a reason to wake up, to be motivated, to get to work, to run lean, to be efficient, to get us out of this
See, for
situation.
us, if you keep pushing people down, I'm not saying we do it, but I'm saying there's a lot of fake news out there. There's a lot of spreading of terrible information. It bogs
psychosis
down.
driven, yes.
Yeah, it bogs down society, and we have to keep working to make this country run. We have to keep going. We can't give up.
Dom and Asanka, thank you actually for your contribution to entertainment, to radio entertainment, for putting a smile on the Republic's face
thank
every morning.
Thank
It's
you
a
very
pleasure.
much. Yeah.
Thank you. And on this note, before I end, I must say thank you very much to all the production crew led by Nadika, Harshana and Shahan Ranatunga, and our cameramen and our editors and so on. Thank you, because I know it's a tough job, but somebody's got to do it. And on that note, have a great evening, and as always, God bless you.